Good morning, evening, afternoon, I'm Tatocat. Welcome to my channel. Today we are playing Echoes, a Lucid9 fan game. Previously, Rui got tenured and we learned from the three heads of corporations or chairmans or whatever that there's some riots and like the flu thing. They don't really have a vaccine in time, but they hope to curb the side effects and things like that. Also, Kazahai Compound's leader is female, which I didn't know. And now Rui is getting a tour. And that's pretty much where we left off. Alright, let's continue. Alright, this is the lower level. Basically, everything important is here. Over there is where you came in, and this is the main data entry terminal. It's mostly reserved for accessing record files, writing reports, and keeping an eye on the security feeds. But the base can be manually locked down from here in case of emergency. The cell commander gestures towards the semicircular enclosure I passed by earlier, now occupied by 3 staff members in lab coats. I feel a tinge of awkwardness as they look up, clearly taking notice of our presence. Sorry to disturb you three. I'll be out in a moment. I'm just giving Hayata here a tour of this facility. Smiling woman. New operative, ma'am? Not just any operative. Well, welcome to the cell. Feel free to let us know if you need anything. The staff member stops mid-sentence, turning white in the face. Oh, wait, did you say Hayata? ... Well, here we go again. Might as well just bite the bullet and try not to look like the piss-drunk robo-bitch I see every time I look in the mirror. After all, this is a first impression, the most frequently botched social interaction there is. Thanks for having me. I've been told you do good work here. It's an honor to finally meet you in person. I've heard stories about your cybernetics. I don't think anyone's ever impressed the chairman as much as you did. ... I got captured by a serial killer, learned to aim a pistol, and emptied a magazine onto a couple of unarmed civilians. I'd hardly call that impressive, much less something to tell stories about. Nevertheless, if I tried to play down my achievements, these people will probably just accuse me of being humble. I'm flattered. Looks like I have some big shoes to fill. Mind if I ask you a few questions about the computers here? The commander went over pretty much everything, but by all means... Almost everything. I should probably tell you how to log in. I'm guessing you don't use... this is Rui. I'm guessing you don't use passwords here. Even better. You know how every SSD operative has an ID chip implanted into their wrist? I guess now we do. Check this out. The commander nonchalantly props herself up by one arm, turns towards a vacant console, and waves her wrist over a glass window next to the mouse and keyboard, causing the adjacent screen to light up. Since transceivers can have their signal copied, the division decided to engrave a cycling visually encrypted code onto each operative's chip. That interfaces with the panel I just waved my arm over, which is equipped with a multispectral tight beam emitter. Was that tight beam or light beam? I went too far back. Yep, tight beam emitter. As a result, it can cross-reference contextual biometry with the physical code on the chip's surface. Jargon aside, this system is as bomb-proof as it gets. So, if anyone tries to forge your identity, they're almost certain to fail and or die. That's so Emmy. Well, it's cool that it's bomb-proof. If you encounter a problem, though, just ask me for the guest login. It automatically changes every 5 minutes, but that's worked so far for us. I feel like this is important information that I need to keep in mind for later. Or it could be just an interesting factual tidbit, and it's not necessary at all. Either way, it's cool. That's about it for this area, because it answers the question on how she gets in. Continuing to lean casually against the inner wall of the enclosure, the commander shifts her gaze over her shoulder towards the nearby staff members. Sorry again for the disturbance. We'll be out of your hair in 2 shakes. No problem at all, ma'am. ... As I turn to follow the commander further into the main room, my gaze lands directly on 4 armed figures. Though I did expect to see armed guards down here, these ones are clad in hard suits with full body plating, so much so that their X-150 MAs look puny in comparison. I know this place was important, but it seems intrusion proof already. Why would the guards need that level of protection if they're not actively warding off trespassers? Unless... No. Yama seems vital to whatever Kosuke has planned, and as much as he might resist, he wouldn't be capable of fighting back in the state he's in. That's already 2 arguments against using potentially lethal force to deal with him. However, if I had a change of heart, that might be an issue. This medical lab and its sister installation are home to some of the most advanced operating equipment this corporation has ever designed. As you might already know, being the most augmented SSD operative of all time puts you in a very unique position, one where the use of this facility will be vital to your ability to complete the missions assigned to you. I assume the chairman has already told you all about Inceps? I managed to pick up a few details from his starry-eyed rambling, if that counts for anything. As I understand, it is a technology that writes accessible information into the brain. In simple terms, that's spot on. We had several hundred scientists working on the Incepts sub-project around the clock for years. The result of that work was a network of micro machines that could navigate blood vessels and embed themselves in the central nervous system. Just to sweeten the deal, these bad boys can run on glucose and store payloads of neurotransmitters until they're needed. Pun definitely intended. Wait, what? Oh, okay, I get it. Because sweeten and then glucose. Ah ha ha, Emmy. Ah, you're so funny. Unfortunately, not everyone is ready to welcome tiny machines into their brain skulls. Especially not the kind that float around electrocuting their neurons until they function as intended. I can imagine. Wouldn't hacking become an issue if people found out about them? If you got some microcryptors in there, maybe, but not in the traditional sense. She's about to say a whole bunch of technical stuff. This is going to get real awkward. About 15 minutes after entering the brain, the microbes settle on specific neurons according to therapy protocol and prepare to activate their firing sequences, scanning them and exchanging ultra short range encrypted radio data with the active cranial sensor array, which in turn feeds into the control server in order to formulate a proper series of directives. If no interference is detected and nothing triggers the safety shutdown, these directives are transmitted to the microbes. The adaptive diagnostic transceiver on each detaches from the main structures, and the remaining central bodies initiate the programming process on site. This, for lack of a better phrase, prevents a random third party from fucking with your head. Though improvements can usually be seen within a few hours, the microbes can't be reprogrammed or controlled once they're physically incapable of receiving a signal, and can only function one way for the rest of their lifespan. Within 90 days, full neural adaptation occurs, and the probes either initiate autolysis, integrate fully into parallel processing network, or are broken down manually upon contact with an identifiable replacement. And this is somehow safe. Botched installation and strong electrical current aside, there's not much out there that could make these little guys malfunction. I feel like this is foreshadowing. Of course, if the latter were to occur, you'd be fried to a crisp by the time they started glitching out on you. So as long as you don't go around touching uninsulated power lines for fun, you should be safe. There goes the weekend plan. It's going out touching power lines. In theory. Those would kill anyone, though. Exactly. Point taken. Any waivers I need to sign before you use these on me? You'll be pleased to hear that the paperwork has already been signed on your behalf. Of course it is, because we get no choice at this point, huh? We're like, we're tenured. We're like, cool, now we can do whatever we want to you. Since the chairman already consented on your behalf, of course he did without telling us of this, we didn't see any reason to muddy the water and with more pointless checks and balances. The commander's expression sours. This decision's been made operative. You'll need to undergo neurological enhancement through incepts. Either you permit us to do it, or we do it anyway. Your choice. You're being rather upfront about all this, ma'am. Should I be concerned? The commander laughs. Yes, I mean, no need to worry, operative. It's just a personal habit of mine. You and I might work for the number one brand in honesty, but that doesn't mean we have to lie and excuse our way through every conversation we have. Easier said than done, though. Especially when there's a massive gun pointed at your head. Not wanting to wind up in the same predicament, I decide to hold my tongue. Smart girl. Fortunately, I don't need to do so for long. Like most surgical procedures, you'll be rendered unconscious for the duration of the entire installation process. At that point, a technician will run the chosen protocol and make sure that everything goes smoothly. Recovery is almost instantaneous, so you'll be on your feet again in a few hours at most. Huh, doesn't sound too bad actually. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't concerned about Yama, though. If this procedure is supposed to take a few hours, then what the hell are they stripping him down and jacking him into tubes for? He's still alive, though. And that's enough. At the very least, that's how I should act around the people I made this deal with. Operative? Sorry, I spaced out for a bit there. Thanks for the explanation. No problem. You seem committed enough to this, so I think it's worth me mentioning that the NSEPs microbes can be modified to interface with your cybernetics implants. I'm saying cybernetics this time instead of cybergenetics because for some reason I keep saying cybergenetics in my previous things. A more direct approach is also possible through its ability to sustain and form what is essentially a hybrid body tissue via more extensive embedding and networking process. In lay terms, these microbes can enhance your strength as well as your mental capacity when given enough power from your thoracic battery. Not only that, but the installation of cybernetic microcomponents can be more closely moderated. How micro are we talking? They won't be big enough to notice, but at the same time, you'll be carrying some insanely overspec'd hardware with you. You'll have a choice in what type of implants will be installed, but ultimately, you're too valuable to the division to go on critical missions without a few upgrades. I assure you, I assume you already understand the cause behind that necessity. Unfortunately, I doubt I'll have much value otherwise. I never said the rest of you was disposable, operative. When you examine medicine and automation closely, you'll find they share a common goal. That goal is to make people more capable. Therefore, if we advanced at a rate that rendered our original minds and bodies incapable of doing anything meaningful to us, we no longer have any reason to advance, let alone live. Limnyscape might call us regressive for willingly holding back technological progress, and even if we were, KCOM would still argue that we're allowing strength and willpower to be bought and sold. Think about it, operative. We're a medical company. That means we're in business to sell health to anyone who can buy it. We've turned both the right to exist and the right to enjoy existence into a marketable products. That may sound selfish, and that's because it is, but our society has decided that a future for humanity isn't a human right. It's a commodity. Like all commodities, it's going to get sold eventually, so we might as well be the ones doing the selling. Don't get me wrong. If our clients used our products like they used a typical good or service, we could make this about profit without having to worry about the consequences. However, if there's no future, there's nothing to gain, and if our triple bottom line drifts from serving humanity to focusing only on profit, there won't even be a future left to profit from. We might sell products for health, but by the laws of nature, health itself refuses to be bought and sold as one. Because of this, I bet you are plenty good friends with Kosuke, because man, you also are going on a tangent here. Because of this, we have to tread carefully with our clients. We can't allow the client to use the product to better themselves, even to be transformed into someone else through its influence. Okay, did I read that right? I got distracted by the rant. We can allow the clients to use the product to better themselves, even to be transformed into someone else through its influence. But we can never allow that client to become the product. Like you, we recognize that you can be improved, but we also recognize your humanity. Do you though? Do you recognize our humanity? I don't think you do. What you are doesn't matter. What you were matters even less. In the end, you'll be judged by the progress you make. Just remember why we make that progress in the first place. When we joined the SSD, we made a promise to serve first and collect later. We made promise of altruism to 5.5 billion people. Well, I mean, I kind of did this because I had to. So our goals are a bit different. I mean, I said yes to all that, but I didn't mean it. The moment we break that promise is the moment we lose the future. And if we do end up losing the future, we're become just another bloated tick sucking Samu dry, like the parasitic corporations we claim to be above today. Aren't we really that much better, though? I suppressed the urge to scoff. I've been here for less than an hour, and this absolute specimen of a cell commander is already giving me a soapbox lecture on technology and human condition. In the human condition, like she's Captain Jean-Marie Dumas from StarQuest. Not only that, but it seems that she's too brainwashed to notice the blatant hypocrisy of her statements. We're not protecting humanity or the future. We're adapting it to serve the corporation and its self-centered vision of perfection. At this point, we're beyond bloated ticks sucking people dry. We're predators, setting traps for the weak and injured so we can devour them whole, under the pretense of needing to survive. We aren't who we claim to be. A statement like that, however, is one best not made. Definitely a lot of room for things to go wrong. Good, don't even comment it on it, Rui. Exactly, operative. We can't afford to get sloppy. INSEPS is both medical and technological in nature. There's no telling what would happen if people started treating it like the newest smartphone or assault rifle. Speaking of weapons, the chairman mentioned that you recently completed your advanced training at the Office of the Peace. I did. Haven't gotten the chance to practice shooting, though. Then you're going to like the next item on our itinerary. I'll write up the report on the different available INSEPS enhancements and upload it to your account on the base's network. When you're ready, you can download it from the computer terminal in your quarters and view it on your iris vision. It's not explicitly mandated, but it might be a good idea to read up on the customizable upgrade profiles before making your final choice. In the meantime, you need some functioning gear. This room is the Lucid Cell's armory. It has some equipment that might be useful to you. No kidding. While I don't doubt your personal competence, the pistol you brought with you won't be enough to complete missions involving more fortified targets. Especially if they shoot back this time. Harsh, Emmy. Ouch. Well then, we'll see how... I saw a flash of red. We'll see how Rui takes that in the next episode.